Poetry Slam was created by a guy named Mark Smith, who was a construction worker in Chicago in the 80s, and he was also a poet himself, but he didn't have access to a stage because at that time he didn't have a book or, you know, some credential from university. You couldn't get an audience. And he's like, well, why not? You know, what about my stuff? So I was going to create my own game, and he made up a game called the Poetry Slam.
He wanted to get the audience to come in and be more of an active part of it. He wanted to empower the audience. He wanted to focus the performance skills of the poets on the audience, not just to hear their own voices.
So, welcome to the Austin Poetry Slam. This is what we're going to have for you folks tonight. We got 11 amazing poets who are going to come up to the stage and they're going to read one poem of their own construction.
You know, he was this construction worker who said, you know what, I can read poetry too. And not only can I read poetry, I'm going to go create something that is going to change the face of poetry.
No costumes are allowed, no musical accompaniment is allowed, except of course for the music you can make with your own body.
You got a host, you got a poet, you got the audience, all these things mixed together. And it just took off from there. It started at one bar called the Get Me High Lounge in '86.
And I think just that, you know, audacity, just the idea that I can do this. You know, I'm a construction worker. I can read a poem. That's in the heart of slam.
You're hot. And I don't mean like last call, closing time, I'm drunk and horny, how you doing, girl, kind of hot. You're like happy hour hot.
And it spread. People in New York City started hearing about it. People in San Francisco started hearing about it. And once you have, you know, more than 2 people doing anything, suddenly there's a competition.
He's made up this game that we play. He picked 5 judges from the audience, give them scorecards, and they give poets a score between 0 and 10 for what they do in 3 minutes on a microphone.
I felt numb, or worse, kind of happy. I mean, nothing could get me down. I wanted the United States to win in Iraq, and I didn't even know what that meant anymore.
And so they had the National Poetry Slam in 90 in San Francisco with just a team from Chicago and a team from San Francisco, and they knocked heads. And so they had it again the next year. And it was like a team from Chicago, a group from San Francisco, and a guy from New York City. And then it spread. Somehow it got to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Somehow it got up to Alaska. How did it get to Alaska? Nobody knows. You know, somebody who was in that group of people went to Alaska and started something over there.
I'm sick of it. On and on they go, a remnant of a victory sought too many years ago, like a goddamn Easter egg hunt.
And out of that idea, out of Mark Smith, out of that you know, just one good idea, this whole thing has grown into international community. You know, hundreds of poetry slams every week, thousands of people checking it out.